Right, seeing that it is 6:32, I would like to call the Town of Belgrade Board of Select Persons November 15, 2022 meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Carol, seconded by Barbara. All those in favor, Barbara?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses, we are open for business. All right, first up, under old business, we have a catering permit for 12/3/2020. Oh, you know what? There isn't a spot there for public comments. So
I
the
don't know if
first
there
part
are.
of our meeting is usually public comments, and I'm like, let's skip right past it. Does anybody have anything that they would like to bring to the board's attention that will not be covered on this evening's agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move right along to old business.
Okay.
Okay, so the first up is a catering permit for 12/3/2022. This was carried over from the previous meeting because we did not have a license number on the application, so it was incomplete. So anyone here to speak to the catering? And you can you identify yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sharon.
Sharon, nice to meet you, Sharon. So one thing I noticed on the application, which is interesting, is it asks you if you're going to provide signs like no alcohol beyond this point, but there's no guidance on here as to where those signs should be.
The state actually has a requirement for where the signs need to be, so.
Yeah, I was surprised that it's not part of their information. package. We have this and this, but we won't tell you where. Anybody notice anything that was amiss? And there have been no complaints, correct?
It's complete.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the application for a catering permit.
Second.
And the application number is, do we have a license number on here?
It's very handwritten. License number.
Yeah, the application number. Okay, all right, so moved and seconded. All those in favor? Barbara?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses. Yeah. Ta-da, just like that.
Just needed that number.
Wasn't too bad. Wasn't too painful, I hope. All right, so next up, we have the sand and salt agreement extension. This was also tabled from a previous meeting. And the last meeting, we had the original contract, and I left it, I thought, in my book so that I would have it.
That's mine.
Right, I don't still have it.
I have mine.
So
The original one from
Dan's right here.
2000 and 2000,
From, yes.
2020 and 21 and 22.
21, 22. So is David with us?
No, he's not on Zoom.
He's not here. So I really had some questions that I wanted to ask him. So the original contract states, this agreement may be extended an additional 3 years upon a mutual written agreement from both parties. So David sent this contract back with a 1-year extension and suggested that after that, we put it back out to bid.
Is it a 1 year or 6 months?
6 months.
6 months, 6 months, yeah.
That would get us through the winter.
That gets us through the winter and then we have bids go out.
Right. So I wasn't sure because according to the contract, it says may be extended for 3 years upon a mutual written agreement. It doesn't prohibit us from agreeing to something
I would
less
think
than
that
that.
I would think that that means up to, we could read that as up to 3 years. I
Right,
think
yeah.
that 6 months would certainly fall within that time.
But I think when we did this contract, we were actually looking to do 3 years and then 3 years, because previously we were coming back year after year. So that's why we went to the 3-year.
Right, but he's
Um,
concerned about the
well,
prices
I
going
think
up.
he's concerned about pricing and trying
And
to
this, and this
project.
doesn't hurt my feelings to extend it to 6 months, because I prefer the contract to go winter season to winter season
Mhm.
versus half of 1 year and half of another.
Right, but you were the one who wanted it all on the fiscal year. That's why we did this.
Well,
Because this was the weird one that threw it off kilter because it was based on that.
yeah, but we also, at the time, we're talking about changing our fiscal year to go summer to summer.
Right.
So, I mean, we're probably better off getting the whole winter out of the contract. I guess to go back to that, that's still.
Okay, well, I don't want to hear any more then. About this being the weird one. All right, is there any more discussion on extending this contract for a 6-month period?
Well,
think
actually,
it
and it
makes
should
sense.
say it's really 5 months. It's till June 1 of 2023. Right, which would be
It
5
says- it
months.
just says,
Just put that. in
oh yeah,
the
June
motion.
1.
Yeah, it's on here.
Just put the date in.
Yeah, extending it till June 1 of 2023.
All right, so I make a motion that the town of Belgrade extends the road sand and salt agreement with David Stevens Excavation from December 31, 2022 to June 1, 2023 at the fixed year price of $10 per cubic yard of sand.
Second,
All right, that is moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara? Yes. Carol?
yes.
Dan?
Yes,
All right, 4 yeses. Lisa, thank you.
maybe we can, if we're gonna end up putting out that feelers for plowing, and we can also put out the.
Yeah.
Salt sand, that way we can find out.
Oh, yeah. All right, so next under old business is the snowplow contract RFP. So Lorna, after you and I had talked, did you ever find out when the Warren Brothers stopped doing the salt loop?
I have not determined that yet. It was my understanding the last year from when I first spoke with them, so the last season that they didn't do it. So we're in 2022, 23, so it would have been 21, 22.
22, yeah.
So, and I don't remember asking for that to not be done. Does anybody else recall us changing?
We may have, because of the salt issues we're having. It's very possible that we asked that. I don't.
Yeah, I don't remember us asking. I know we had talked about taking it off the list moving forward. But I don't recall us taking it off previously. And if there's any documentation anywhere, Lorna, that we can maybe see if we can't find on that,
I can check
and maybe
see.
nail down with them why they would have stopped doing the salt priority loop. If it was based on the town. I don't recall us asking for that, so. And
Yeah,
then,
they did state that they stopped doing frying now, because they don't find it effective.
Yes.
right,
If we don't find it effective and we don't want to go into the lakes, so.
Yeah.
two good reasons.
right, but we also had a contract that said that this is what we looked for, and this is why we're paying what we're paying. So taking that salt loop out was the biggest concern that we had with how this looked moving forward. And we
Oh, the
tweaked,
contract, yeah.
yeah, we tweaked a couple things in the contract before the last time around, and then we've taken out the salt priority loop.
That means that the trucks would then not be required to have.
It would not be required to have the brine or
The
have to be
brine
outfitted with
equipment.
the brine equipment.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look So that's not necessarily tied together.
Didn't we take
Some-
that out?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's. how
6
it's-
trucks, 2 4-wheel drive trucks.
I'm just saying the
One
brine, the
grader.
brine isn't really tied to the salt priority. Brine is a pre-treater, but you
Right,
could use it on many roads if you put salt priority. So you can use it or not use it.
I don't think we have the brine in here. Bruce, did you have a chance to look at this again without taking out?
No, I didn't get sent. I didn't get the packet.
You want to look at one real quick?
So are you not getting the board packet?
Yeah. I haven't been
Okay.
getting them.
So you need to be on the board packet list. So whatever list we had previously, Mona, for everybody who got the board packet, everybody on that list needs to get the packet again. I've had a handful of folks ask how come they're not on the list, and I don't know why. So whatever we did previously, let's keep doing.
And who is it who gets it? Planning
It's
board?
department heads, committee chairs. There were a list of about 45 people on that list.
There's also
So-
people who requested it.
And
Right,
anyone
anybody
can
who's
request to get the
requested it,
packet
absolutely.
It's also available, it should be available on the
on the
Town
website.
It is. It is.
So we need a new bid date. There's no date by which we want this to be done.
Right.
Right.
I know with the previous 2 contractors, for the one we have now, they used to go back through and scrape off slush or snow for the pickup. And I felt that was, more effective. They use less salt, use less sand. They doing it that way. I think we're using a lot more salt and sand than we need to be. I think, that's why in the contract, that's why the small truck, with 2 small trucks in there is for that purpose. And I don't know if hasn't been happening, or actually, I know it hasn't been happening. I mean, it's something, I don't know if that's something that we should have in the contract. It's a big truck, because what happens is the roads are cramped, the roads are crowned, some roads have ruts in them. So the big trucks can't get that slush off. But the small trucks can get that slush off, so it doesn't require them to continuously go back over and sand, go back over and sand, go back over and sand. But when the other 2 previous contractors we had prior to the Warren boys, they always used pickups to push off the slush after the, after the storms, and it worked well. That's, like I said, I think that's why in this contract, or the contract with Warren boys, that's why I had pickups in there. That was a requirement. Because it worked so well, we used a lot less sand salt when they were doing that. So I don't know if that, we should word that in there. I don't know. I don't know how far you could take that. But it's just something, suggestion that.
On page 4, Bruce, number 5 at the bottom, it says the contractor agrees to operate continuously until all roads are satisfactorily cleared of snow and slush.
That hasn't been happening. Yeah, that's been.
And certainly the price of fuel, if they could do it with the little truck, they do it instead of using the big truck.
Right?
I wish Scott would stay just a few minutes longer. Because he could have told you the private benefit of using the small truck over the big truck.
Now, do we put this in a salt shed building? Or do the Warren brothers actually fill the sand and salt box?
This is supposed to be in the contract that I
Yeah.
started way back to the morning at the contract.
Yeah, I see it in here. I just was wondering.
Contractor agrees to fill the sandboxes needed.
All right, so if we're comfortable putting this out for a trial run, what do we want to put in there for dates? So
Well, we've got a
today's-
holiday coming up, so I think we need to
15th of December.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say if we did the
Bounce it
15th
out
of
there.
December. And then.
what day of the week is that?
That's a Thursday,
Okay,
and you all meet the 6th and the 20th,
so we would be meeting after that, so.
correct?
Yeah.
So
You
what
would
if
meet
we
that
said,
following Tuesday.
because this wouldn't go out till the 16th, so what if we say that the bid request for proposals will be out from November 16th through December 16th at the end of business?
Mhm.
That would give until the Friday,
And then
and then
we don't
the,
really need to deal with this until after the first of the year.
where it does say the
Well,
board
we
of
need the
select
numbers.
persons will review all proposals at their next scheduled meeting, so that would be on December 20th.
Right,
But if we're in the midst of.
I was gonna say, if we're in the midst of
That's what
budget,
this is for, because if we can't get in with a bid, then our budgeting talks are gonna be,
Different.
oh, then we'll know we're
that's why we
really,
need this now rather than later.
I see, okay.
okay,
So we'll get this out this week and it will be due back December 16th.
Yep. Friday,
Which is a
December
Friday.
16th, yeah,
And then you all will review on the 20th.
yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have those dates right.
All right, so make that motion.
second,
Moved in second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. Dan,
Yes,
Barbara? Yes. Carol?
yes,
All right, 4 yeses. I'm still not getting used to not having. Touches me every time. All right, next up, we have the local health officer appointment. Surgery went well. Good. All right, so the health officer is an appointed position. We're required to have one. Andrew Dallas has graciously agreed to be appointed to that position. Am I correct in that assumption?
From the sea of other volunteers, yes.
you rose to the top.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Andy?
I move Andrew Dallas be appointed the health officer for the town of Belgrade.
second,
No, this appointment would expire December 31st of 2022, correct?
Yes,
then we'll have to reappoint.
We would
and then
reappoint,
reappoint January 1st.
if you're willing to do it after that.
See how the next month and a half goes.
Yeah.
Give me a chance to go through the training at least. That's good.
All right, so that was moved. Barbara, did you second that? I don't know if you did. Dan
Dan.
seconded. Okay, moved and seconded. There's no further discussion. Barbara?
Yes,
Carol?
Yes,
Dan?
Yes,
All right, 4 yeses. You're in. Thank you.
Yay.
thank you.
And we
Andrew.
appreciate
I'll
you
take
being
my
here.
interim name off. I did a crash course online to fill in. until we can
Kind of
get
keep us in
open.
the loop with what is being required of you as the health officer.
Sure.
It's kind of one of those things where we've had them and nobody ever comes back and says, this is too much, or, you know.
yeah, we'd like to maybe put numbers, how many calls you get and stuff, because that's why my daughter got done. She was the last one.
Yeah.
And it was just, you get calls at 10 o'clock at night, and everything else, because customers go through the COVID mess and everything else.
Of
So
course, yeah.
we're just trying to figure out what the volume is.
Mary mentioned to me that the town, at least the town office is going to do triage on calls, see if there's something they can answer, questions that come
Yeah,
in.
which may
And
help.
if it needs to be promoted to me, to research or
Yeah.
to come back with a different answer, certainly, but I easily know.
But anything after hours, it's gonna be,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, so.
Right. So, yeah, if you don't mind corralling a little data for us, you know, it would give us a good idea moving forward of, you know, we talked about compensation and what it's cost us so far this year, and, you know, looking forward, what do we do differently? But we don't really know if we don't know what we're up against.
I'm used to keeping track of that sort of thing. So I could.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so next. our
does
other-
Andrew need to be sworn in by Mary?
Does by
So you'll need
Mary.
to stop by
Anytime.
Do I have to
Anytime.
raise my right
Check with
hand?
Mary, make sure she's
I
here.
think if you just do your fingers, you're good.
So,
So am I dismissed?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Go
You're
ahead.
unlike the
Thank you,
wind.
Andrew.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Have a great Thanksgiving if we don't see you before.
Thank you.
All right, so next up under old business, we are furthering this discussion on whether to have the entire town meeting by referendum, or if it's gonna be a bifurcated town meeting. We have some ballot questions. Oh, we're restarting.
Yeah.
Oh,
as I said.
no. No,
That happened to us last
Stop.
night too.
no,
So,
okay.
so
I think
we
we're
need to
good.
allow it to do the updates is the thing. So Lorna, at the end of tonight's meeting, instead of
Tell it.
shutting that down, can you tell it to do
Yes.
the updates and
Yes.
then,
Actually, it sent it to us last night.
yeah, it's because we just go, we shut it down and we don't say yes. Okay, so this is what we have to decide, is whether we're gonna do a bifurcated and do some on the floor of town meeting. I've had a couple of emails from folks weighing in.
I had a lot of people ask me while I was standing at the door during election day. Because the ones that come out on election day are the ones that want the town meeting in person. It just happens, they didn't move absentee, they just wanted, so.
And I did see Lorna pose the same question to MMA that we had posed previously, and the answer is still the same, that we can Zoom the meeting, somebody could participate via Zoom, they can watch it, but they cannot vote via Zoom, because that was the question, is if we had a board member who could participate in person. And so the answer to that was no, you can watch, but you cannot vote, you can't participate.
Is that something that could be changed by statute?
Yeah, you're talking an awful lot of work to try to change something like that. I don't know. We can check, we can see if it's something that.
I mean, it just seems that 2 years of Zoom behind us, that there's a lot that can be done remotely that increases
But
participation.
it's the legality of the legislative body and voting, you need to be in person for voting,
It's just like,
and that's why.
it's like in the state, in committees, because we're not actually passing anything, we just recommend it to go to full legislature. The legislators that Zoom in can vote as long as they're zooming in, but we can't go into the chamber, you can't zoom in into the chamber and vote. You have to do it in person.
I mean, I understand that, but as we're looking ahead to COVID and flu and whatever is going to be in our future, it seems as though the legislature should be looking at, and maybe not this session it gets passed, but another one on.
We, we can put it forward, see what happens. You know,
I mean,
we
it
can
just
take a look
seems
at it.
as though times change with situations, and Zooming has made so many things possible that weren't possible, never thought of doing two to 4 years
You
ago.
may have an issue with is knowing if they're registered voters.
Right, right. That's the issue. Is
And how
making
can
sure.
you prove?
Well, no,
that
but I'm
really
talking about
they are and they
legislature.
are Who they say they are.
Right.
Right. You know, because I've said if you're going to participate in a meeting, that you have to have a working camera on your computer. So if you're on a committee and you are, when we were doing the Zoom meetings, that you had to be visible in order to be participating in the meeting. Because otherwise, that's exactly why. We don't know if the person there is making the decisions or if they're being influenced by anybody else in the household who's telling
No,
them.
I understand all of that. I'm just talking about, as we look into the future, I think the future is, and the legislature needs to figure out, is that something we need to look at? And if so, what are the rules and how? And then obviously we would follow accordingly.
And it's federal too. I mean, any vote of Senate or House of Representatives has to be in
In
person.
person, yeah.
So,
So
We
and the
can- we
other
can look
question
at
that folks have
it.
had is if we look at zooming the meeting from the Center for All Seasons because of the size of the building, and of course, we don't have the capabilities there currently, this meeting hour would not be sufficient.
Yeah.
But it is one of the things that has been on our ARPA list to upgrade at the town office, but I mean, the Center for All Seasons, but one of the things that we have to do moving forward is start figuring out what some of those projects would cost.
Right.
Because we can't, you know, we have our little pot of money, but if we don't know what what these things are gonna cost, then we don't know how we could allocate it. So we will need to start pulling some quotes together on increasing the availability of technology in that building.
If we do something down there that we want to be able to broadcast like we're doing here, people aren't gonna end up speaking or participating, which they can anyway. What I would recommend is each of the select board and anybody else budget committee have a computer, just like we do in the state. You have a computer in front of you, you have a headset so that you're not causing feedback. And you got the camera to look at you when you're speaking is right there. So anybody watching the video can see you. We use something like the meeting owl and put it on a desk like that and the podium. And anybody who wants to come up and speak, is gonna have to come up to the podium.
Yeah.
That way the meeting owl is right there. It's within a certain distance, and that's what you're gonna have to do.
I know the only problem with that, Dan, that I foresee is some of the folks who come to town meeting are older folks. And so, you know, some of them, everybody stands when they speak at town meeting, but depending on mobility issues. Because we've
But it's
always
not
done the
that far
microphone,
away.
that they would walk around. So if they had a microphone, if we set, you know, if we have more than one meeting hour or
Well-
something, we can figure those.
So you can figure
pieces
that out, or you can say, you know, if somebody's gonna have, they're gonna have to walk more from here to that wall. If you're gonna speak, you think you're gonna speak, sit up in these front row seats, so you're closer to the thing to start with.
Yeah.
You know,
Or they have someone, they use a wheelchair to get where they need to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean. when
but
people-
I think your technical people, you know, when you get working with some technical people and getting quotes, they're going to say, this is what I'd recommend you do. You do this, or, you know, and they may say meeting out, looking into the future is not the way, that may not be the technology that we should be looking at. We should looking, and I mean, I have no idea. I'm
It
just,
may just
we
be
need
a
to get
normal
some-
camera, you know.
Well, because the other thing we have, because we talked about possibly doing some drop feeds from the ceiling there, but then what we have to also be cautious of is to make sure that those have cages or whatever around them so that they don't get damaged by basketball or things like that. So there's a handful of other pieces.
There's ways to do it.
there are ways to do it. We just need to
I mean,
get
over
technical
in the
people
house
to look at
chamber,
it.
there's two main cameras over there that rotate and move.
Mhm.
And they have speakers and microphones throughout the place that, so you can hear what is speaking. You know, so it kind of, somebody speaking over there does the same thing, this does, the camera pans over to them. And, you know, if you have a microphone, you're going around with a microphone, it may just go into this. See the system that puts it in through.
Now, what I don't see though is us having that technology in place by March.
No,
So we still need to decide if we're gonna do all written ballot or if we're going to do partial written ballot and for the town meeting.
I talked to a number of people of different ages. Well, middle aged, no. Didn't talk to any young, any, what I would consider young. And people expressed concern about the unknown health situation and said, you know, they would not go because of health concerns, because they're, you know, because they're older, they are not comfortable being in a room with a lot of other people. And so they wouldn't participate. So, you know, I guess to me, that's the issue, is that we have a lot of older people in the population of Belgrade. And if we limit it to an in-person voting, then how many people are we eliminating from voting because of health concerns?
Well, it wouldn't just be that, because you would still have the absentee voting that could be done on all of the referendum questions, because the entire warrant would not be on the floor of town meeting. So your special interest would be the day before by referendum, and the issues that are probably going to be the most talked about were the ones that folks need to be able to hash it out on the floor of town meeting. We would move those to the floor of town meeting.
There's a lot of I feel there's a lot of stuff that's gonna be in the budget this year that really is gonna need a lot of discussion. People to be able to discuss it, and, you know, maybe stuff that's gonna be needing to be, you know, okay, we wanna decrease this budget this year, because, you know,
Right,
you
that's the
can't.
only way we can. And
Right.
if we
And I,
put all the warrant articles forward and we exceeded LD1, we have to have an article that gives us permission to exceed LD1.
Like I said, I talked to I heard from probably at least 12, probably more, but let's say at least 12 that came out to vote the other day. I want to know if we're going back to town meeting because they want town meeting. I didn't really hear, but maybe had one or two that, you know, expressed concerns the other way. So,
I was gonna say, I have been checking with folks, and I had today had two people that said, I don't care either way. If you have a town meeting, if the health situation's fine, I will go. But if, you know, if the flu and everything's raging, you know, we get into that, they would not go. So they would give up, quote, voting because they were concerned about it. I think I had 4 people who said they definitely wanted to go back to in-person. And then I had another 7 or 8 who said, who feel there's better representation of the town than town decisions being made by 100, 150, maybe 200 people that show up. And when it's done by ballot, you've got 5 or 6 or 700. I mean, we're certainly not going to have a turnout like we did, you know, the other day, but that's really, for me, the crux is how many people are making these decisions. And with a couple of exceptions, how many times have we, and if something gets voted down, then we have a system to go back and relook it and represent it. So, you know, last year I voted that we do it, you know, by ballot, and I think it was very successful. And last year we voted to do it the other way.
What do you mean we have a system to go back and look at it?
Isn't there a system that if something doesn't pass on the budget, that we then go back and use the budget that was in place until?
that's, well, that's
You have
every
to have-
town meeting.
yeah, you have to have another
time.
time. You have to have a
Okay.
special town meeting.
You have to have another
Right, you
special
would
town.
have to have another comment, absolutely.
You know, and that's, you know, so that's another expense to the town to have another, you know, that's pretty good size expense to have another town meeting. I'm totally for in person. I feel if somebody wants to be involved in their town politics and the town government, they will go. Now, the other thing you can make, you guys could require a mask, you know, everyone has to wear a
I was
mask.
just gonna say, if somebody's concerned, those masks will have hand sanitizer, folks are going out to eat.
Right, I
I
mean,
don't-
yeah.
I don't see when I go out to eat that there's.
Yeah, I don't
less
see people laying back on doing stuff around this town. I tell you, you go to the concert series, the place was packed. I mean, so people in this town are not laying back because of COVID, the flu and everything else, that they're out doing stuff.
Right,
You know, so if they're worried about that, then they can wear a mask. We can have, you know, that'd be up to you guys. You guys could have regular surgical mask available. You guys could have N95 mask available if people want. Other people that I've talked to over in the last year about last year's voting, what they did is they had 3 things they wanted to vote for on that budget that they picked out. And them 3 things they wanted to vote for. Everything else, they just went. Doop, 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 doop. So they're not reading, they're not knowing what they're voting for. So if you really truly want, you know, people to come out to vote, to know what they're voting for, because nobody knows what they're voting for unless they go to that meeting. Period.
What can we do as a select board to try to get more people to town meetings so that there is better representation?
I think with what is coming with this year's budget, I think you're gonna have a huge town meeting. Because, you know, if everything goes through that's being proposed, it's, you know, it's a lot, and a lot of the stuff that's being proposed really needs, you know, should go through, because we're behind the times, unfortunately. I don't like it, but, you know,
Well, it's because we've held the line for 4 years. but we
Yeah.
haven't
asking how we can get more people to come. I mean, I think
Right.
that's, if we are looking at doing an in-person town meeting, I think that, we need to look at how do we get, more than 100 people to come. And Bruce is saying that, if the budget is going to increase dramatically, that people will come.
I mean, if it's a plain Jane budget, you don't, even by secret ballot, you don't get very many, you don't get that many people. If it's just a plain Jane, flat budget, people don't come. But when you've got stuff that's changing, people do come. And the other thing is try to get our annual reports out as sooner with that, as soon as we can. That's a big advertising meeting.
Right, but the annual report, the way the warrant, if in the warrant, we can't have any explanatory information, right, in the actual warrant. So how do we ahead of time get information out that would be explanatory? Can we do that through the town newsletter, or can we, because it is part of the warrant, can we not have explanation? We can have explanation, just not part of the warrant.
Explanations in the town report or anything else, you just can't put it on an official.
It can't be on the warrant.
Can't be on the warrant. And
But-
that's why we have public hearings prior to, with anything that's going to be on the ballot.
Kind of
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me?
I just went out on that.
Just came on.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
perfect. Thank you guys for monitoring from afar.
Having this,
Yet another reason why we can't rely on technology. Oh, goodness.
you know, I mean. You know, you could say the same thing, you know, if we decided to town meeting, had it all in town, then people who want to vote. Secret ballot, don't get any secret ballot. So I mean, I still prefer doing it the way that we do it, splitting it up.
So on the secret ballot, which is only the day before, or is that available for
Secret ballots, absentee ballots.
absentee?
You can get absentee up until that day.
Okay. And so that includes the whatever
Whatever. we put-
elected positions are open.
Yeah.
Right, and whatever we
positions,
decide,
elected
and whatever articles we decide goes on, will go on secret ballot.
It'll be your special request, go to secret ballot.
If.
Right, the
yeah,
social
we
services
always
of
do that, but
special
we could
request.
decide we didn't want to.
And so what sort of questions would, I mean, I don't really recall
Usually,
questions going on.
usually we put what, general government,
Federal government, fire.
That's on the floor usually. Usually, only thing is that went by secret ballot was a special
special interest.
interest.
Rex-
The ranking library, and that was
No,
out.
No, but the recreation and library have now been in, they haven't been on.
The
secret.
only reason that the rec one and the library one was because it was petitioned to put it
For
on
1 year.
for
That's
1
what we
year.
did.
And then they carried it forward for probably 10 years. And it didn't need to be.
Right.
But we did
So
it
that's not
that,
gonna be on.
but we did it that way because we also had the backup questions of the day of the town meeting in case that failed, then we could fund the buildings, the power and everything else.
Right.
So, but again, we'd have to sit down and figure out what ones go where.
I mean, yeah, my recommendation is the library and the Center Cross station should be on, you know, the rest of the ballot should be on the open forum.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, the way it's, because they weren't on,
Well, for a long time.
well, yeah, for a long time they
Yeah.
were, but
So the last 2 years, it's been written ballot. The year prior to that is when the library and the rec department, and probably I think 2 years actually. before that.
3 years we've had secret ballot because it was the 2 years of COVID. Right, it was 20, oh no,
21 and
21
Right.
and 22, we've had 3 years.
21 and 22, and 2020.
2020, it was postponed until July because of COVID.
Right, because of COVID.
So it's been 3 years without an actual town meeting. Because COVID was just starting in March of 2021.
That's right, they shut everything down.
Everything got
Just
shut down.
before done.
So 2021 and 22, we've had
Right,
secret ballot.
secret
It's
ballot.
time to go back.
So maybe it's time to give it a try.
All right, we're ready to vote again? Dan?
We might as well.
May as well. Dan?
Well, we gotta make a motion for one or the other.
I make a motion that we go back to in-person town meeting, bifurcated town meeting.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. No further discussion. Dan,
Yes,
Carol,
No,
Barbara,
Yes.
3 yeses, 1 no. All right, we back to the town meeting. Okay, next we have new business. So first up, we have, thank you, a municipal quitclaim deed. Take a motion to open that item.
so move.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded, moved by Kara, seconded by Barbara. All right, so this quitclaim deed is for taxes that are paid on the 22 Horse Point Road. The purpose of this deed is to release any interest the town of Belgrade has in the above described premises by virtue of undischarged tax liens to date, including but not limited to tax lien recorded May 22, 2012, book 11043, page 294 of the Kennebec County Registry of Deeds. Tax lien recorded June 16, 2017, book 12631, page 226 of the Kennebec County Registry of Deeds. tax lien recorded June 29, 2018, book 12951, page 135 of the Kennebec County Registry of Deeds. And witness thereof, the town of Belgrade has caused this instrument to be executed in its corporate name. So we are releasing Colleen M. Tukey, its heirs and her successors in interest of real property situated in the town of Belgrade County, Kennebec, state of Maine, for the 22 Horse Point Road, Belgrade, Maine. Those taxes have now been paid in full.
Question, are the dates right? Why is one 2012 and then 1718?
So
That's
I
not
think
16.
there was a lien there, and then they probably, if they were paying the taxes in the middle.
Okay.
And then
I just want to make
that-
sure that date wasn't supposed to be 16. It's 3 years look backwards in a while.
Yeah, because 18, 19.
Should be oldest taxes paid first. There shouldn't be a Mary Gina, why it's that way.
Well, at least a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's that way. It just might have not shown, or it might have not have been released, but we definitely would have foreclosed, so. It's just not showing at the registry, so
So the 2012 is correct then.
it should be, yeah, if that's what they're seeing. I mean, I didn't look into it, I didn't look at the registry, but I'm sure that, you know, they did their homework and they know what they're seeing. And I mean, we could look into it further, but it may have been that it just wasn't released, that a release wasn't sent. We would have foreclosed on that property if it, you know, if the taxes weren't paid. So I'm sure that, you know, that it's correct.
Thank you.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none. Dan?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses.
Did you make a motion and who seconded?
I made the motion. I led the phone. It was seconded by Barbara.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, we have the North Belgrade Fire Station dedication. I'll take a motion to open that item.
So moved.
All right, moved by Barbara, seconded by Carol. That is open for discussion. Dan McKenzie, you have the floor.
You hear me?
Yes.
We did now.
All right. We took a vote a little while back and we thought, you know, we should do something with that sign there at North Belgrade Station. And the members voted to dedicate it to Rick Dameron. Of course, with all that's happened in the last few weeks, it's become a more of a priority. And I just wanted to get the board's blessing to do that. I believe, Melanie, did I send you a picture of the sign? Did you get an email on that?
I did when it first came up, and apologize for it not being in the book. Let me see if I can find that real quick, Dan, and show these folks.
I could find it, send it, email it to you so you guys have it. But
Have you got it right there, Lorna? Yes. Yes.
That says NO Belgrade. I'm just, does that say NO Belgrade instead of North Belgrade?
It does. NO period Belgrade Fire Station.
that was the reason for that, was running out of room.
Or you could say N period.
Yeah, NO sounds.
Yeah, it should be N period.
And
N
N
period.
period.
End period, yep.
It can be either way, but in this, it looks a little funny
Yeah,
to have. an
no
end
Belgrade,
period.
yeah, looking.
No Belgrade, no Belgrade part.
Now, has the sign already been produced, Dan?
No,
The
no, I was
sign
waiting
is done
for, no, I was waiting for the board's approval.
I thought you were like, yeah, and I was like, well, no, it is.
No,
No
Leighton's
means
designed,
yes.
Leighton's designed it, and then the boys, Conrad, Scott, and Jeremy helped. They're the ones who, gave me the ideas, and we sent them to Leighton, so.
It's fabulous. I looked that it was just an M.
So, yeah, I'm looking right now and see, make sure I've got the right.
Want me to send it to you, Dan?
Yeah, I've got one, but I'm trying to let's see where it's saying.
Wasn't Ricky a junior? Did they decide? that
Yeah,
he
they
wasn't
took
a
that
senior?
off. The boys.
Took that off, okay. All
I
right.
just emailed that to you, Dan, so it'll be right in the top of your inbox.
Yeah, I was going back through all my emails with Leighton's just to see. Yeah, so we just go end period. Is that what the consensus is? Well, first, is it approved to do it?
We haven't voted, so let's do it.
All right, I think I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the dedication of the North Belgrade Fire Station and a sign recognizing that to Richard Rick Dameron, capital N period Belgrade Fire Station.
Second,
That is moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Dan,
Yes.
Karen,
yes.
Barbara?
Yes,
All right, 4 yeses.
And thank you. And once we get it made, there'll be I'll get back together with you to do some sort of dedication and stuff. And there might be with the boys we've talked about, maybe a celebration of life at the same time.
That's what I was just gonna quiz you on, because I've had a lot of folks ask.
Yeah.
And
So I'll let you know. I gotta see how long it's gonna take to get the sign made.
that would be perfect. So I'm gonna fill the rest of y'all in. So they put this request out whether or not we could do this. And in all Ricky's history, I don't think anybody's been able to ever surprise him. So we contacted Maine Municipal to see. We had an idea in our head of how we might be able to get this around Ricky. So, because it was gonna have to go on an agenda, and of course Ricky would get the agenda. So what we had devised was a plan where we would have the dedication and have a special select board meeting with the only item on the agenda being the dedication, where Ricky wouldn't have the agenda ahead of time, then we could all vote and then go right to the dedication. So Maine Municipal was all in. What a fantastic idea, how we could do this legally. And I think Thursday morning, Dan, I called you and let you know, and Friday, we got the word that Ricky had passed away. I said, son of a biscuit, we're still not gonna get anything by now. So, but kudos to you all for thinking of that ahead of time and kind of laying the groundwork for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll keep you posted.
All right.
Instead of doing minutes, why don't we finish up the fire departments with the
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
I
also
guess
come
I-
back for executive session too. Yeah, it is a little bit. Yeah, why don't we, does anybody mind if we just go to the fire department, SCBA bids, and then we'll do the minutes? All right, so next up, we have the fire department scuba bids.
No, there's no deal with it. There's no deal with it.
It should be scuba. Scuba, scuba.
There's no you, it's above ground,
Yeah.
not
All
underwater.
right, I'll take a motion to open that item.
So moved.
Second. All right, moved by Carol, seconded by Barbara. That item is open for discussion.
interesting that there's a significant difference
Yes.
between the two between the
Yeah,
price of the regulator for the two.
we asked that same question and they're for the same device. And this is for that FEMA grant that we've been approved for. So this is not what we're paying out of
So why would
pocket.
there be? No, I know, but why would there be $900 difference? That just seems.
We have
You may
no
have one
idea.
company who caters to fire
Yeah.
departments or, that's something they have a soft spot for. Who knows?
Whatever.
So, Dan, do you have a preference between the two? Or were they the same?
We do business with both of them, fire tech more than any of them, but we do business with both.
I
And-
think being prudent, if it's the exact same item, we should pay the one that's $15,000 less,
Right,
roughly.
exactly.
I mean,
Well, and I think
And Dan,
by,
remind me how
fee-
much is-
I think by FEMA, or if I buy the grant, we probably have to go that way, because the grant's paying most of that.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
We're playing a small
All right,
portion of that.
I'll make a motion to approve the 12,255, 112,255.
from fire tech and safety?
Yeah.
All right, I'll second that. Wow. Second, third, fourth. All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Karen?
Yeah,
All right, 4 yeses. Okay, going on. All right, now we're gonna move back to the meeting minutes of November 1, 2022. Take a motion, open that item.
so we'll,
All right, moved, I'll second it.
So, second. Straight at the spreadsheet, trying to find my minutes, messed up my order.
Well, if we can, going forward, if we can put that, in, we're gonna do this last, let's do, make sure we just put them in the order, so the last thing we do,
Right.
so that way it doesn't mess something else out.
I know, that's kind of, our flow feels,
But we used to do them first.
Right,
Right.
in our ordinance, I looked in the ordinance for the select board, and there is an order in which things are supposed to appear on the agenda.
and the meeting
And
minutes are
meeting minutes
supposed
are
to
supposed
be
to be first.
Okay,
Yeah,
Right.
well, then let's get back on first then.
Yeah, I was looking for something else, and then I just found that, I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, we always used to do them first.
right, because you're supposed to approve the last meeting minutes
Before you
before you
start
start
with the next
the next one. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
minutes of the previous meeting, unfinished business, new business, announcements, updates, and other business. Yeah. So we, we pretty much do that, but.
All right, so did anybody have any issues with the last meeting minutes?
I didn't see anything.
Yeah, so the stuff that we have like under town manager's report, I just want to make sure that that stuff doesn't get lost and it gets pulled back to the forefront. So, I don't want, like the historical house and that, like if we're waiting on another quote, I want to make sure that those items keep coming back so that we know. And we don't lose them.
Well, we have meetings coming up. We have feral cats coming up.
Yeah, and then the Seacoast, did we get an updated estimate from Seacoast for security?
Nothing. I think that's them. They're super busy. I've had issues with them in New Sharon trying to get things.
I think they're coming tomorrow to the transfer station.
Oh, send them my way.
You may be able to nail them down if you get over the Kenny tomorrow. They come in to service the cameras.
Just the back row.
Do you have any idea what time?
I don't, they called me and I sent them to.
Okay, I'll skip down there, see them in person.
And I also want to check and see, have we done anything? What are we doing to promote or try to find a secretary for the planning board?
Yeah, that's important.
I don't think we've put anything out there. Mary, did you put anything on Facebook?
No, I haven't put anything out there. I wasn't sure what direction you wanted to go in, Lorna, so I haven't put anything out at all. We can talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think we should do Facebook even when it doesn't cost us anything to put something out there, and if somebody's looking for
Yeah,
part-time gig, and we said, what, $20 an hour to do the meeting minutes? And we should probably set a cap on,
The other thing you may want to do is send something out to Thomas College. Because if you have business, granted, you may only get somebody for 6 or 8 months, but at a time, but
yeah.
KDCC,
yeah.
those are a lot of local people, and they do an associates in business.
Yeah,
UMA does a
Yeah,
bachelor's. I mean, yeah, we could send it out to all of those 3 colleges in the area.
and just say, how many times a month this happens and what the turnaround time is. So we've got to just put the parameters around it on what we expect. And we've got to get out there and get them a secretary. Somebody doing those. And have we received an invoice yet? I didn't say anything in here for the wreaths. I thought maybe we'd be
Haven't seen
invoiced ahead of
anything.
time.
For an invoice now.
I'm gonna hang on to this because I don't want this stuff to fall off to the wayside. All right, does anybody have anything else that they saw?
I move we approve the minutes of November 1st.
No, I'll second that. There's no further discussion. Barbara,
Yes,
Karen,
Yes.
Dan,
yes.
all right, 4 yeses, we are good. All right, next up, we have warrants.
still not used to having ones.
Yeah, it's so.
Do we need to approve these individually?
Yes, yeah. All right, so first up, we have payroll warrant 125 in the amount of $18,888.13. Make that motion.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes,
All right, 4 yeses. Next up, we have warrant number 128, payroll warrant in the amount of $17,237.47. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Carol?
Yes.
Barbara?
yes,
All right, 4 yeses on that one. Next, we have warrant number 129, State of Maine BMV. From 10/28 through 11/4, warrant total is $5,105.50. I make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
yes,
Carol?
Yeah.
Dan?
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses. All right, next up, we have the AP warrant. Warrant is number 130. The total amount is. Well. $70,027.09. I'll take a motion. No, I'm not gonna make a motion to approve that one yet. That one is, make a motion to open that.
Second.
Moved and seconded to open. Now it's open for discussion.
It's just a question on page 8. We have mainland contracting and it says it's the $3,500 expense. It says three-quarter labor for garage. Does that mean we have that's for 3/4 of the cost of it? And we've either paid a quarter or we have a quarter left to pay? It's just really more informational.
I don't know why you would have put 3/4.
3/4 labor for garage, so maybe they were getting paid as they work.
Yeah, the to sign folder is on the top and then the back gray one is underneath.
We don't usually have control of this. We usually, the town manager is the one who finds that stuff so that we don't mess stuff up. but it's on the mainland.
Probably 3/4 of the way back, maybe.
So there was one for 760, one for 3,500, one for 1623.
3,500 was the one I just had a question on.
And it says 3/4 labor due.
Must be a progress payment.
Yeah, so they're doing 3/4, and then the next one says additional labor, 1623.31. So this was the one that they wanted us to sign off on. But they couldn't be responsible
Yeah, which I don't want,
for anything prior to.
I wouldn't guarantee somebody else's work either.
So that's what that looks like, is they paid 3/4 of it and then they paid the quarter. Which would make sense, I guess, looking at those numbers. So I had on page 2, does anybody know what Winterberry Farm did for $171 under rec programming?
So that, I thought, well, maybe they did a field trip or took animals over or.
And then our rides and
Yeah,
Horse
because I was
rides.
like, well, it wouldn't be a horse-drawn carriage, right? This is under card member services.
Right.
Pumpkins, $171 worth of pumpkins.
oh,
For
for the kids to
For
paint,
Harvest
to
Fest, for
decorate.
decorating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so are we done? So we're paying the former ACO's mileage for October 22, but then the new ACO took over at that point, correct?
I think that was the last bill from mileage from Buzz. Because Jeff was appointed.
Yeah, because it's
Midway.
Dexter Bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then the Dropbox subscription, that was due to the town. It wasn't something that we were doing before. This is the first time I've noticed this on here, but is this a monthly subscription that we're gonna now be paying? Is $12 a month for that?
It is $11.99.
It's been so long since I've used Dropbox, I'd have to have a tutorial.
Yeah. Somebody sent me something like, what do I do with this?
Well, and I did talk to the municipal attorney to see, make sure that that's legal for us to do. And he did hem and haw on it a little bit. It's the whole executive session thing and whether if people keep documents there that should be gotten rid of. And we didn't discuss it. So it's a question that we may want to dig a little bit deeper into, if it's a process that we want to continue, and if so, how long things are held on to. There's postage, duplicate postage on the same day for $160 a piece. And that would be under this. So the greeting cards, is that still card number? I just wondered if we paid it twice.
Oh, it's not a duplicate.
Right, but not a duplicate. Because it says, it's all under 23,218. So how do I find that in here? What is postage gonna be under? Because there's postage in a bunch of locations.
I wonder if that
It's under card member services.
is it,
Yeah, that should be in your credit card.
because you have another postage up higher for $60.
And there's another,
Well, I think
well,
these are probably on the, as they occur, come off the credit card statement.
right.
They just need to check the credit card statement probably.
This doesn't show us in.
Yes, they're like Winterberry Farms just thrown in on the top. So there's not. Is this Never Southern Bank that has our credit card? Yes,
Don't mess up the order.
I know, that's what I'm like, I'm responsible for this.
So Melanie,
Yeah,
yeah, no, I did postage for elections, just knowing that the November election was coming up and that I would be needing the extra postage. So the $180 was for elections. I mean, I still have some left, which will carry over for, anything that we do in the future, but anyway,
that's
that's,
right, but it was 162 times.
I'm
So
not,
that's why I wonder if
yeah, I'm
we
not. seeing
duplicated.
that. No, I only did 180. So,
What's a
This is weird
160?
because it's 160 twice.
yeah, I'm not seeing that. What page is that on?
Page 4. the
Page
bottom of
4.
Page 4, the bottom of the page.
And it continues on to the next page at the top.
So I know that we got a Pitney Bowes machine to try to be more accurate with our postage, so I'm not sure, if that's, because it looks like it came right out of general government. So I don't know, I'd have to ask Nick the question. He sent out a lot of notices for lien notices and just notices to people
Taxes
who
due.
hadn't paid their tax bills. Just a courtesy notice, so it could have been for that.
Very well.
Could be,
Yeah,
just did a
yeah.
reload.
Okay. And just having to look through here, there's a lot for Amazon. What are we getting from Amazon? There's Amazon 153, Amazon 164, Amazon 113,
That's-
Amazon 170.
That
Amazon
looks like
33.
the animal
Animal
control supplies.
Ah, okay. I was like, I stopped in on a weekend too, and there was a box by the door, so I brought it in. I was like, it's gonna rain. Amazon. What's that?
Well, it would have been right at the Amazon ones. They were running, and the ones you tried to do what I'm talking.
And our name is now painted on all of those? Was Corey going to?
Yes. Corey
autograph
was-
it?
Yes, yes, Corey's
This is
tagging
Belgrade.
everything, and then all of that equipment will be issued.
Post office here, there's post office here.
Good.
See, there's like 6, and there's 12.
It could be that there are different dates, even though it looks consecutive.
Right.
Here, it could be that they were, 3 weeks apart on the statement.
Post office, yeah, Mary, I see, you've got the 180 right here.
180. Oh, no, and we have 2 160s.
We have 2 160s, and this is US Postal Service 180. And
Yeah,
over here, we had a $6 one and a $12 one. So I guess we should just check on that if someone can in the morning and just let us know if it's a duplicate or if we've just got a ton of postage, it'll get us through the next year.
Yeah, yeah. I know the 180 is mine, and I went down to the post office to weigh the ballots because they come up at different rates depending on the weight of the envelope plus the ballot. So I do know the 180 is mine, but I'm pretty sure that Nick's was notices for people who hadn't paid taxes.
Mary,
I don't know about the duplication.
Mary, when you do postage at the post office, you do not use a credit card though, correct?
No, I did use a credit card.
Did.
But there's no 180.
Yeah, 180.
Right.
Two 160s.
So Mary, this is funny because in the backup, there's a 180.
Oh, no, here it is, postage. It's election postage, 180.
Okay.
It's just, it's on page 3.
It's on another page,
180 election.
right?
So there's the 180. So apparently we've got another 320 in postage.
Right, so that's the
Oh,
question.
you got 160, 160, and 60.
Right, and 60.
And
up here
another
on the
12
top.
on an earlier page.
Yeah.
Right.
so-
Okay, somebody can just check.
And there's another 60 also on this page.
Mhm.
So I guess we gotta figure out what we're doing with the postage, because that's a, what are we at to now? 240 plus the 180, so that's a lot of postage. in a month.
We can
So we'll
look into
scope that out. What's that, man?
I just said we can look into it tomorrow, so we'll have to ask Nick. He has the backup, so.
You're already sending out the Christmas cards from here.
Right. Well, probably one of those was all those cards, so probably.
Yeah.
It's one of them, but that wouldn't have been 160.
Oh, no.
All right, so is there any more discussion on that warrant? Not seeing none. Barbara?
Yes. Oh, do we have a motion? Are we approving the?
Yes, and make a motion that we approve it as presented.
I'll second it.
I just- As my brain was like, no, it just opened it. Okay, Barbara. Yes. Karen.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses. I just wrote 4 and 1. All right, next we have payroll warrant 131 in the amount of $1,031.75. Make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right, so no discussion on that. Barbara.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses. Next, we have payroll warrant in the amount of, payroll warrant number 132 in the amount of $18,859.69. Make that motion.
Second.
All right, that is moved and seconded. All those in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses. Next, we have warrant number 133, which is BNB report. And the total amount is $51,250.36. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Barbara? Yes. Carol?
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah.
All right, 4 yeses. Next, we have the town manager report.
The NIMS training, I got additional information on that. And included that in your packet along with a link for additional information online. So the explanation given to me for NIMS is that it needs to be done for federal funding and disaster funding. The state has adopted NIMS and ICS standards, our fire and rescue. Both do the NIMS training, and information that I included illustrates that senior local elected officials, the fire chief, rescue chief, all fire and rescue personnel, the emergency management director for a town, the road commissioner, and then the PIO or public information officer should all be doing the NIMS training.
with elections and voting over and approval on all of our warrant articles, the commercial development review ordinance has been updated. I've got that out to George Seal to review and ensure all of the updates have been completed, and then we'll get that new copy on our website. And then the board will want to review and take action on the agreement with the state for the water situation. The state has a grant program for funding for EV charging stations, so I included some information with that. The current program deadline is November 17, which is too soon for us to plan and put something together, but they will likely do this again in 2023.
Oh, they said that, they said.
Yeah. So I've continued to monitor. I've got a contact there now.
Okay, good.
Brown tail moths, they are also establishing a grant program which will be available in early 2023. I've made contact.
Is
At the
that
state.
for the town, or are they gonna do any grants for individuals too?
I do not know that it's individuals, but definitely at the town level, municipal level. We should probably try to get something.
Absolutely.
So that won't be available until early next year, but I've got a contact there I'm conversing with on that as well. So as soon as that opens up, I'll get that information right out to all of you, and hopefully we can work on it. The feral cats, the previous ACO declined to be the primary on this, so Jeff will take over and they will talk and get up to speed. Although I did contact the company in Buckfield that's been taking care of it and brought our new ACO into that loop. And as you can see, they have 25 or so left cats to take out, fix them, vaccinate them, and then recomb them. So they've done, altogether, they will have done around 100. In addition, our new ACO asked about an ordinance for feral cats. I looked everywhere I could think of for something that another municipality may have done. Couldn't find a thing, so I asked Bill Saucier, our attorney, if he had ever heard of such a thing. He had not. They could not find anything, and he said that it is likely because it's governed by Maine statute specifically. So I've given you those links there for review, and I did send that to our ACO to keep him in the loop. And then the rest of the reporting in your binders, just the supporting documentation for everything in the town manager.
I have a question about the NIMS training.
Yes.
And I see on the chart that elected officials are supposed to be trained for G402.
Right.
So how do we find out what that is, and then how do we?
There are going to be several trainings around the area of the region. I'm not sure if our fire and rescue will host any training or not. A couple of the other close ones are. But as soon as I find out where they're holding specific training, I'll get that to you. I've done mine online for the town of New Sharon.
Hey, Dan, do you have any input on that for the NIMS training? I just wondering if it's part of your Super Sunday or.
No, we did it. Once you do it once, you don't have to do it again. So most of ours, we've had it, and it's not a yearly update or anything like that. Like, I think most of ours we did online too.
This is the first time hearing that the select board is being required to participate.
Yeah, and it's just one particular training, E402. on the chart. that we
There
have.
are, from speaking with the state, there are updates to the training, like I did mine and I looked back, I did mine in 2015. I will have to do the new training because it's been updated.
So does that mean then, Dan, the fire department is also gonna have to redo this?
Yes, Dan, have you seen those emails come through, Dan?
I haven't. This is the first I've heard of this. I must have missed the email.
Yeah, we'll scope it out. If it's something that we have to do, then we will.
I mean, we just went through this state inspection and they never mentioned a thing about it. And none of our, I mean, all of ours are original. So I'll have to look into
Right,
it.
so yeah, you would think if the state was requiring it, that they would be letting you know.
You would think.
You would think. All right, is there anything else that has come up recently? Anything else, Lorna, that's come up recently?
No, that's not on the report. No. I was just gonna find that email and send that out to you.
You can, we've got it there, if you can send it to us too, so we
Yeah.
can see what we got that said that we're not in compliance.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now too.
Just in looking at the Brown Tail Moth grant information, it's for government entities and nonprofit organizations.
Hmm,
So we would be
We would,
the government entity.
the government
So
entity.
we would qualify for one.
You got the whole cemetery. This was-
Oh, and the Center for All Seasons, so. Looked like they got tick sprayed twice, but they were supposed to actually get brown tail moth.
The spikes,
What's that?
the spikes going in the tree for months.
They were supposed to, mosquito banditos were supposed to come down. They were gonna have them come down and do a brown tail moth exclusion thing at Center for All Seasons, because they were everywhere. Yeah, what are the spikes?
You pound them into the circumference
Of the
of
tree.
the tree and the trunk, and then it sends,
It's like,
it's not actually poison, but
it's like 250 or five, something a tree.
I don't know.
Yeah, we had someone who, yeah, like did that. And he and his neighbor just split the cost and it cost them about, I think, 500 apiece to do these 3 or 4 trees that were around their property. So it's not cheap, but it worked. And he did it a year ago. And this summer he had like 3 moths. I mean, it was very effective.
Yeah, it prevents them from reproducing or
Right.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It kills them, it does kill them somehow, some way, so the first year with that, you still can get brown tail moth if you're allergic to it. Like most of us.
yeah, but if you get them,
Yeah, I get that,
yeah, nasty.
I didn't until last year.
yeah.
Last year, I heard
yeah, I don't even hang my stuff on the clothesline anymore till I have like a small window, which I hate because I love my clothes hanging on the clothesline.
I made, believe it or not, I made the mistake of sitting in an outside deck chair, had a moth on the cushion.
Oh.
And it went through my shirt and within 2 minutes, I started itching and I had swat this bag on my back.
Oh, my word.
It's like, that's the
That's
first
bad.
time I ever really, it bothered me, was last summer.
Hmm.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep knocking on wood. I don't want it ever.
They don't want it.
All right, so next up, we have an executive session.
You need a motion to,
I will take a motion for a 1-minute break between the select board meeting and executive session. So moved. All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Carol.
get up and left the bathroom.
all right. So that email you sent to Dan, Laura, that had that chart. Had the chart in it.
It may,
That
it
would
may,
that would be
may
handy.
not,
That would be handy for 'em.
I've gone back and forth several times with Theo Marshall, and I'll forward this to Dan.
Yeah, that chart would make a difference, because actually it looks like Dan and Travis have to have well, 4 times as many different classes as.
Yeah, originally that's what I thought too, and then they changed it a while back, but apparently they've changed it back because pretty much it was 100 and 700 everybody needed. But
And now they've got it down, Dan, it's 100, 200, 700, 703, 800, 300, 400 are all for fire department service heads and deputies.
Yep, but apparently they missed that because we just got the FEMA grant.
Yeah, that looks like it's gonna be a pain in the butt.
Yep.
Like I looked back through my emails. I took mine in 2015. Tim Hardy got a hold of us because there were 3 new select board members in New Sharon, and so we all did our NIMS training together at that time. I don't, yeah, they did used to do it previous to me getting on the board there. So we haven't touched it since, but yeah, we'll have to update.
Regular firefighters, it does say just 100 and 700, so. That's the name of the guy who wants that information.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, and then I wanted to put this, I don't know who we get our flags from. But this gentleman is one of my customers and they do flags all over the state. So I don't know who does our, Lorna, do you know who does our purchasing of the flags for the town?
I do not.
I don't know if it's Corey or what, but I did say I would pass this along because he's fantastic to deal with.
Do you want me to take it?
Yeah, I got a couple, he's just the kindest man. They do the cemetery flags for the graves, they do the full-size flags, he will bring them down and deliver them to us.
When do ours come down, down in town?
Normally they would have come down yesterday,
Right,
but with the wind,
right,
so,
that, man.
and what are we? Today, probably tomorrow, because I think,
Before we get into the
We probably
executive
lost
session
some
real
of
quick,
those too, because I noticed someone.
oh yeah, they'd be.
on
and seconded, all those in favor? Barbara,
Yes,
Carol,
Yeah,
Dan.
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses, we're now in. Oh,
and we stopped the recording.
so the recording is stopped. Dan, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. Just came back.
Okay.
do
right.
we need to
Stop,
close
right?
the
But we
door?
need to stop the recording.
Hey,
The
someone
outside,
said that.
the outside doors. All right, so it's been moved and seconded to re-enter the select board meeting. Barbara?
Yes,
Carol?
Yes,
Dan?
Yeah.
All right, 4 yeses. I will make a motion that we authorize Dan McKenzie as our fire chief to sign the tower agreement contract between the town of Belgrade and what's the name? What's the name?
Navigator Properties.
Navigator Properties, right there. Like I know I saw it on here. So between the town of Belgrade and Navigator Property for a 5-year agreement at the cost of $1. It's been seconded by Dan. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Yes,
Carol?
yes,
Dan?
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses.
Send Dan the message since he's not there anymore.
Yeah. I'll pop in one back here. You can, yeah. All right, I will, does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring to the board? All right, seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded, all those in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
4 yeses. Woo. Let's end that meeting.